Good morning, everybody. It's Rabbi Kolakowski here again. I want to reflect a little bit about what we discussed yesterday. Just one point very quickly about the border. People don't realize that President Obama also had tear gas thrown at people trying to invade our country in 2013. So I think it was 2013, but it was definitely President Obama. So it's a double standard. It's just plain and simple. It's a fact. You can't deny that. The media has a double standard, and they just give us more and more opportunities. Either it's a double standard or it's amnesia, and I think it's perhaps the amnesia is caused by the double standard. And more in the news of double standards and amnesia. There's a excuse me, congressman from California, a Republican, which is nice to hear that there are some Republican Congress people in California. Kevin McCarthy, I've heard that name before. He replaced Eric Cantor, who I met once or twice. He was my congressman some time back when I lived in Richmond, Virginia, and I knew his family quite well, his brothers and so forth. One brother was pretty active in the Orthodox community, and is from. And he was the House Majority Leader, Cantor, and Kevin McCarthy replaced him when Cantor lost the seat to Dave Bratt. It's very sad to me that Dave Bratt lost that seat. That's mind-boggling. What's going on here? I really think that in the House there was a lot of nonsense going on with the Democrats. I still don't believe that this guy, what's his name, Delgado, the rapper, with Mamzerim in his house, and his wife a Mamzeris, and who's proud of it, makes a movie about how she's a Mamzeris, and puts it on PBS. I don't understand, and obviously, like we said, Mamzer Talmud Chacham is kodim to kodim Kohen Gadol Am Haaretz B'chol Makom. The Torah is no respecter of persons. Mamzeris, it's not her fault that she's a Mamzeris and so forth. But it's something a little bit weird, and also that this guy should be responsible for bringing two more Mamzerim into the world. It must mean that he has something, some taint in his soul to that. But again, Mamzer Talmud Chacham, if someone can beat the odds and turn their life around. But there's lots of stories like this. We know the person who made false accusations against Ner Lachid in Williamsburg, and he got a ridiculously huge sentence for a crime he didn't commit. And we all know who we're talking about. This girl, she's a Mamzeris. Her father has made that statement a few times that he doesn't believe that it's his daughter. There's a lot of issues there and so forth. So we have issues like that in our community as well. But still, it's why do you go and make they try to keep it quiet, Uncle Pachos, and also, and here this guy is languishing in prison. I visited him once. He was giving me chizik, here he is suffering, and he was so positive and so forth. I should go visit him again, but I don't have time. I'm busy. It's sad that these type of things can happen. And meanwhile, this girl, her so-called husband, was actually committing the crime that they accuse this man of, and now they're married. And how does that happen? He belongs in jail, and he said openly, publicly, that he was going to take revenge against the Hamish community. But again, that's not what we're talking about today and now. So I think, with that being said, we should make a separate video about the Kevin McCarthy issue, just to divide this video from a different video. Other things to talk about today, though, before we do that. I don't even know how I got to this subject, but again, you see, we don't have. Why didn't we have a recount? But here in our New York 19, we have a lot of absentee ballots. I don't even know if the absentee ballots were counted. But also part of the problem is that we have these big cities, I don't know if it's Kingston or Poughkeepsie or maybe both of them, in our district. They don't belong in our district. They belong in the Albany district. Why are they in the 19th district? They vote more like Albany. They should help Albany have their voice and not be getting in the way of our voice. Now, a lot of people say, oh, gerrymandering, that's racist. No. Everybody deserves a voice. And why is my voice being drowned out by a big city? That's an affront to democracy and an affront to our republic, which is supposed to, protect the minority. And me, as a minority, being a resident of a rural area, that makes me a minority. My voice should be able to be heard, and that's why we have the Senate and so forth. But still, look at what goes on. The Senate is really supposed to be not directly elected. We should get rid of the 17th Amendment. I've said that time and time again, and I don't think that's radical. I think that's perfectly practical, and what's radical was the progressives, making direct election of senators and making the Senate into a circus. So, a lot of stuff going on today. So I want to get back and make a separate video about Kevin McCarthy. Did I say, is it Kenneth McCarthy or Kevin McCarthy? Kevin McCarthy was the actor, right? So I gotta do some more research. I got this email from the Coalition for Jewish Values. I highly recommend people to join this organization, even though I don't agree with all of their Zionist stuff. But for America, they're good. And for America, support of Israel, should be no different than support of England or France or, some other country that is a valuable ally as an American interest, and not really so much as a Jewish interest, even though there happen to be a lot of Jews living there, and we care about those Jews, but I don't think having a Jewish state is a Jewish interest. I think it runs counterintuitive to Jewish interests. It really puts Jews in danger and causes a lot of the problems that we have. If it would be a non-sectarian state like America, have Jeffersonian values instead of having British values, European values, essentially, in their mode of government, it would be a much better place, a much better situation. But that being said, there are a lot of Jews in the Holy Land, and we do care about them. And I certainly identify with certain communities in the Holy Land. More personally, with the anti-Zionist communities like Toldus Sara and Toldus Avram Yitzchak. More like Toldus Avram Yitzchak in the sense that I can embrace people who I disagree with and respect them. I saw Rav Elyashiv, Zecher Tzaddik Livracha, with the Toldus Avram Yitzchak Rebbe Shlita. I think that's a very special thing. Because here, Rav Elyashiv was a religious Zionist, even though the Aguda kind of claimed him as their own because he was such a big Talmid Chacham. But the fact of the matter is, he was the old Mizrahi. Even what's the guy's name in Muncie? Beck, Moshe Ber Beck. He wrote in one of his books that there, back in the days of Rav Kook, there really was not that much of a difference between Mizrahi and the Gura and the Eidach Haredis, and it's true historically, and really essentially, and that's why Rav Eliashiv Zichron Livracha, who was from the old time, he was able to a certain extent, make that connection. I mean, Shlomo Zalman was even more successful at that, which his son Reb Shmuel was not as successful with it. Right? Reb Shmuel is already away. Right? I'm trying to remember but the fact of the matter is that Reb Shmuel was right, because essentially, a lot of the issues that we have today, both the Mizrahi and the Aguda are losing sight of what, Mizrahi is showing for blunget a longer side, but Aguda was more ehrlich, and it's good that within Aguda you have different factions and it's not unified. Even though the whole idea of Aguda was to be unified, there is a certain positive aspect of that being that there are Chalukei Deis to show that it's like we read 2 weeks ago, or last week rather, over Machan Initial Lefleita, we're supposed to be united and divided at the same time. There has to be the unum, that what unifies us, but there also has to be the plurality, which is, in a sense, to a certain extent, it's a term that someone once used to me to describe the state of Israel, which I disagree with, but based what they say, an insurance policy. That the fact that we're not all the same, we have different factions, protects us to a certain extent, because one of the big lies of this myth of anti-Semitism, which we're going to talk about in the next video, is that there's some secret Jewish cabal, and that there's somehow that the Jews are all united under one umbrella group that is pulling strings somewhere, And the truth of the matter is, we are in no way united. Even the very similar groups, we have 2 Babovs and 2 Satmars, and it should be that way. And 20 Vizhnitzes, even though there is unity among all the Vizhnitzes, that they don't have Babov and Satmar, but there's still a unity of Babov and unity of Satmar that's within this disunity. So we have this idea of Yachad Shiftei Yisrael, that we have different Shvatim, different tribes, and different families within the tribes and so forth, each of which are doing their own thing, and that is really the insurance policy. Golas is the insurance policy. If Sof Kol Sof, if it doesn't work out in America, we could go to China or somewhere else. And maybe China will turn into an American-style democratic republic at some point in history. Although I really love America, and I hope that we can stay in America bis Mashiach would come. And personally, my belief is, although again this is not necessarily gospel truth, this is just an interesting idea, but we do say, Medrash says that when Mashiach comes, Yerushalayim, Jerusalem, will be big as Eretz Yisrael, will be big as the Holy Land is now. And the Holy Land will be as big as the whole world. Does that mean that the whole world is going to expand to be to be bigger? No, it means that the whole world will be holy. And that's what Scripture tells us. Isaiah says that, and Micah says as well, that the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the seas. So, that's what we're looking forward to. We're looking forward to a time when the whole world is holy, not just, being cornered into one little piece of land on the Mediterranean the size of New Jersey, but which is a beautiful and holy and wonderful land. Eretz Chem de Tov Rachava. But we have to understand, what does it mean a holy land? The Mishnah tells us very plainly that all it means the holy land is that there are certain mitzvahs that apply in the holy land that don't apply elsewhere. Shemaviyim Sham is Bikurim is Shtei Alechem. Omer, right? So from this land, we can bring these offerings, the double bread and the Omer and the first fruits and things like that, which you can't bring from any other land. And then Jerusalem is holier because you can eat the second tithe and the Meiser Sheni, things like that, and that's what it means. It doesn't mean. It's a legalistic definition of what means a holy land. It's not just some spooky, it's a holy land. No, it's a legal definition. And theoretically, when the Messiah comes, we can bring, we will take tithes from the whole world, and fulfill all the mitzvahs right where we are. And also, Medrash tells us that, but the Knesses of Bati Midrashas Shebabavel, Kav Ba'aretz, Ikbu Ba'aretz, that Asidim Likus Ba'aretz, that the synagogues and the study halls of Babylonia are going to be in the Holy Land, which in one sense we could talk about, how the names are still being maintained. We still have Panovich and Mir and Vishnitz and Ger and Yotzei Morocco and Yotzei Georgia and Yotzei Iran and Yotzei Iraq, Kedaima. And Iraq is actually Bavel. Anyone who leaves Babylonia to go to Israel is violating a positive commandment. So we got to take things seriously. It's not so simple the way a lot of people just paint it as this extremist, fundamentalist idea of religious Zionism. It's when all of our sages had a much more pragmatic approach to the world. All right. So anyway, back to what I was saying though, briefly about the synagogues in Babylonia being brought to the Holy Land. Some people say, well, why you build big houses? Those aren't going to go. But the Kedushas Levi, my holy ancestor, the ruler of, the Kedushas Levi went to go meet my holy ancestor, the ruler of. The Heilige Berditchev Rav Kedushas Levi said, I was once there in Berditchev, personally, by his Tzion, and we try to learn his Torah as much as we can, every now and then. Berditchev Rav said that that there's a Kal V'chomer, if the shuls and the study halls that were built for Torah and Tefillah are going to be brought to Eretz Yisrael. So all the more so, houses that were built for other things, and yet Jews are davening and learning in their homes, they are also going to go to Eretz Yisrael. So when Mashiach comes. But again, this is mythology. And I mean that in a positive sense. I don't mean it's a mere myth. It mean it's mythology in the Jungian sense of mythology, like we spoke about last week. Mythology is a great informant of truth. But like Jung said, there's the logos and the mythos, which he sometimes calls eros. But logos is the masculine aspect, that's the Musar Avicha, and the mythos is the Torah Zimecha, it's that feminine aspect, it's emotional, but it's still true, even if it's not literally true. And that's something we got to understand. That's the whole point of Kabbalah and Medrash and everything. When people turn the mythos into logos, when people understand Drush and Sod as Pshat, that's a mistake. This is, it's, again, you could compare it to prose and poetry. We have the prose, and there's poetry in the prose. That's the beautiful thing about Torah, is that you have mythos in the logos. You can open up the Shulchan Aruch, a law book, and it's poetic, and it's inspiring. It's not like opening up a law book of a secular law book, legal code. The Jewish legal codes, the Rambam, the Shulchan Aruch, are beautiful. They're beautiful literary works, not just books of law. They have, the mythos is sealed within the logos, and that's the lesson there. That the logos needs the mythos in a way more than the mythos needs the logos. Although we certainly need the logos, certainly need to follow halacha. There's no doubt about that. But it's a symbiotic relationship of mythos and logos that we have to find that balance. That we have to work the whole parties together and understand what we're really doing here. Halavai, people should make it to the end of this, to hear this part instead of the beginning part, the political part. But the thing is, yeah, we do have a logos. We do have to understand certain things literally. We do have limits. We do have to have an orthodoxy and an orthopraxy. But beyond the orthodoxy and the orthopraxy which are the included duties of the heart, the chovos halavavos, things that we're chayav in, which are aspects of logos. There is still the poetic. There is still the mythos that is positive, beautiful, and absolutely necessary. I know a lot of people try to fool themselves into believing that all they need is the logos. And then there are other people who fool themselves into believing that the mythos is logos, which is even more dangerous. And that's what causes there to be those people who think that they only need the logos without the mythos. But the fact of the matter is we need a healthy balance of mythos and logos. All right. God bless. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and comment. Thank you.